Rock and metal built their empires on rebellion, darkness, and distortion. Some of the genre's most iconic names carried a secret that would have stunned their fans completely. These are 10 rock bands you did not know were Christian. Number 10, Korn. Around 10,000 people filled a church in Bakersfield, California, to hear a guitarist confess that he had found God. That guitarist was Brian Head Welch, co-founder of one of the most controversial bands of the 1990s. Korn had built their career on lyrics drawn from frontman Jonathan Davis's traumatic childhood. Music so dark and disturbing it left listeners and critics alike at a loss for words. MTV turned them into household names, and their album Follow the Leader debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200 in 1998. Nobody saw a church moment coming. On February 22, 2005, Welch walked away from it all. He told his bandmates he had found Jesus Christ. Weeks later, an MTV camera crew followed him to Israel, where he was baptized in the Jordan River on March 10, 2005. He later admitted publicly that he was something of a laughingstock in the rock world during that period. He rejoined Korn in 2013, but his faith never wavered. The band's darkest chapter had quietly become one of metal's most extraordinary stories of personal conversion. Number 9, Alice Cooper.
I love the dead before they rise. No farewells, no goodbyes.
Guillotines, electric chairs, fake blood raining down on crowds of thousands. The man-born Vincent Furnier spent over 50 years building the most terrifying stage show in rock history.
One thing that I miss is cold leather and a skeleton kiss.
And then went home to read his Bible. His father was a lay preacher. His grandfather was an evangelist. He grew up inside the church, fled it completely, nearly destroyed himself in the process, and eventually found his way back through a path that surprised almost everyone paying attention.
Sure, I need some rest. Sleeping.
The turning point came through addiction and isolation. His wife Cheryl had left for Chicago, unable to watch the destruction continue. Then something shifted. He flushed the drugs, called his wife, and told her it was finished. Cooper now begins each day before sunrise with his Bible and prayer, and has spoken openly about his faith in numerous major publications. When challenged about reconciling Christianity with shock rock, his answer was precise. There was never more of a rebel than Jesus Christ. 50 years of theatrical mayhem, and that single quote still lands like a thunderbolt.
They said, no more, Mr. Nice Guy. No more, Mr. Big.
Number 8, Megadeth. Some of our songs are based on the Bible. Dave Mustaine said plainly during his appearance on the Joe Rogan Experience. Coming from the co-founder and frontman of one of thrash metal's most ferocious acts, that statement carried real weight. Mustaine had been raised in the Jehovah's Witness faith, famously fired from Metallica on April 11, 1983, before Megadeth had even recorded a note, and spent the better part of 2 decades running on rage, ambition, and substance abuse. Faith was not part of the brand. The conversion arrived in 2002, accelerated by a devastating arm injury that temporarily threatened his ability to play guitar. Forced into silence and confronted with the possibility that everything was over, Mustaine turned to Christianity and became a born-again believer. He subsequently refused to share stages with bands that used satanic imagery in their performances. He also removed The Conjuring from Megadeth's live setlist, citing its occult lyrical content. Megadeth had sold over 38 million records worldwide by that point. The cross had simply never been part of the story anyone was telling. Number 7. As I Lay Dying. 4 studio albums, a Revolver Golden Gods Award. As I Lay Dying had built one of the most credible careers in American metalcore by the early 2010s, and frontman Tim Lambesis spent years in interviews discussing his Christian faith and what it meant to operate as a believer inside heavy metal culture. The message was consistent and spread across dozens of major publications. Then came May 7, 2013. Lambesis was arrested by an undercover detective after allegedly hiring someone he believed was a hitman to murder his estranged wife, Megan Murphy. It was not just a crime story, it was a complete collapse. He pleaded guilty in early 2014 and was sentenced to 6 years in prison on May 16, 2014. As I Lay Dying reformed in June 2018, but the contrast between their documented Christian image and the events of 2013 remains one of the most jarring reversals in metal history. Number 6. Demon Hunter.
Your final home is not a shot in the dark.
In October 2002, a debut album landed in the metal underground and immediately confused critics who had never encountered anything quite like it. CMJ, one of the most respected voices in college radio, reviewed it and called it Christian death metal at its finest. The phrase alone caused whiplash. Christian death metal.
I just feel the same.
On secular metal charts, they competed directly with non-Christian acts, and on Christian charts, they consistently dominated. More than 20 years into their run, the band had produced 13 studio albums and maintained a fan base that never once felt forced to choose between their faith and their love of genuinely heavy music. That balance was the entire point, and they never broke it. Number 5. Underoath. Their 2004 album, They're Only Chasing Safety, earned gold certification in the United States and cracked the Billboard 200. The follow-up, Define the Great Line, debuted at number 2 on that same chart in 2006, an almost unheard-of achievement for a band rooted in Christian metalcore. Vocalist Spencer Chamberlain was giving interviews that year clarifying exactly what faith meant to Underoath. The band called itself Christian, but in a different way than most Christian bands. The distinction felt genuine at the time. The cracks appeared slowly, then all at once. Chamberlain's own struggles with addiction became public knowledge during the recording of Lost in the Sound of Separation in 2008. By the time the band released their comeback album Erase Me in 2018, Chamberlain had publicly stated he no longer considered himself a Christian, and the album reflected that departure with a directness that left little room for interpretation. For fans who had grown up with their earlier records as a form of genuine spiritual expression, that shift landed quietly and permanently. Number 4. Flyleaf. At 17, she walked into a church with no intention of staying. Lacey Sturm has shared in interviews, in books, and in public testimonies that she entered that building planning to end her life and left it as a born-again Christian. That conversion became the foundation of everything Flyleaf would eventually create. The band's self-titled debut arrived on October 4, 2005, and climbed to a peak of number 57 on the Billboard 200 during its chart run, driven by the single I'm So Sick, a distortion-heavy alternative metal track that sounded nothing like what most people associated with faith-based music. What separated Flyleaf from most overtly Christian acts was placement. They played the same stages, the same radio rotations, and the same festival lineups as entirely secular bands, and the majority of those audiences had no idea what was beneath the surface. Sturm departed the band in October 2012 to focus on family and faith, and later published her memoir, The Reason: How I Discovered a Life Worth Living, in 2014. The music never once preached. It simply carried more weight than it appeared to. Number 3. Stryper. To Hell with the Devil became the first Christian metal album to go platinum in the United States. A band from Orange County, California had cracked the mainstream hard rock market wide open in October 1986, while throwing Bibles into the crowd at every single show. Not as a gimmick, as a sincere and consistent act of faith that never wavered. The album produced the mainstream rock hit Honestly in 1987, and the band maintained regular rotation on MTV throughout the Sunset Strip era. What made it remarkable was that enormous numbers of fans bought and loved the record without connecting any of the dots. Even Brian Head Welch of Korn admitted years later that he listened to Stryper as a teenager with no idea they were Christian, genuinely baffled when Bibles started raining down at a live show. They had embedded an entire theology into the center of 1980s metal culture, and millions of people sang along without once realizing what was happening. Number 2. P.O.D. Their name stands for Payable on Death, a direct theological reference to the Christian belief in Christ's atoning sacrifice, printed in plain sight on millions of album covers throughout the late 1990s and early 2000s. Millions of people read it. Almost nobody stopped to ask what it meant. P.O.D. had achieved something genuinely rare in modern hard rock, a Christian identity embedded at the core of their name, their lyrics, and their entire public presentation, sitting right alongside Linkin Park and Ozfest on mainstream tour packages without anyone raising a question. Their album Satellite was released on September 11, 2001, the very morning the world changed. It was certified 3 times platinum by the RIAA less than a year later. Youth of the Nation hit number 1 on the Billboard Modern Rock Tracks chart and reached number 28 on the Hot 100, the band's only single to crack the top 40. The timing of that song, arriving in the months following the deadliest attack on American soil in modern history, gave it a weight that went far beyond radio. P.O.D. used their platform to speak openly about their faith, and millions of fans who had been singing along to rock radio realized for the first time that the songs moving them had been rooted in sincere Christian belief from the very beginning. Number 1. Alice in Chains. No band in the grunge and heavy metal era built a darker public identity than this one. Addiction, suffering, nihilism. The aesthetics of slow collapse, captured on tape and sold to a generation that could not look away. Dirt, released on September 29, 1992, was certified 5 times platinum in the United States and became one of the most harrowing records in rock history. It was the last thing anyone connected to faith, grace, or spiritual life of any kind. Bassist Mike Inez, who joined the band in January 1993, has spoken openly about his Christian faith in interviews across multiple decades. Guitarist and vocalist Jerry Cantrell has discussed the meaning behind songs like Rooster and Wood at length, describing layers of personal reckoning that go well beyond surface imagery. Rooster, written about his father's experience in Vietnam, carried themes of survival and gratitude that Cantrell has directly connected to his own spiritual life.